It's amazing. It's amazing the landscape of how many great golf courses are being built right now. I mean, we are in the golden age of new, what I call modern dunes, uh, creation, basically, because they're that with I mean, the Kaisers essentially started everything in terms of that. These big resorts that are being built in remote locations on fantastic pieces of land, and so between the abandoned properties and everything that goes with that, and the Sand Valley, and then the Cabot brand now going all over the place. There's so much being built. Match Play, who I work with, also has a hand in Rodeo Dunes. It's getting built in Colorado. There's another one being built down in Texas. It's just it blows your mind to think about all the great golf and that we can sustain it right now because people just keep playing.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Whole Story podcast. Robbie and Jonathan here with our friend Darin, and we'll give him a more formal introduction here in a second. But first, Holderness and Bourne, I want to thank these guys for being one of the friends of the program. It's fall, even though it's still hot outside here in the southeast. Actually, it's pretty rainy today, but yeah, check out hbgolf.com. They've got their fall collection out based on the images and the feel of the Scottish heritage. So a lot of good stuff there. Use the code BestBall for some free shipping. Another partner, we talk about these guys all the time, Western Birch. They make incredible golf tees. You can customize them with any logo you want to throw in the cup, and then they have a ton of color options for their signature stripe pattern on the side. Highly durable. Jonathan and I are about to go on a little golf trip, and we're going to try to break as many tees as possible, but we probably only need a couple. But yeah, check out westernburst.com and use those guys. Use Best Ball for a free gift with your order. Finally, check out Atomic Golf. Another friend of the program, Joel, does incredible work based here in South Carolina, putting custom ball markers, divot repair tools, and more. It does an incredible job, and all made in the USA. Really cool stuff what he's doing. We got some for Best Ball, and they're awesome. So highly recommend atomicgolf.club. There. So, but our guest, we've got Darin here joining us. He said from Bakersfield, California. Met Darin through the marketing efforts of Tobacco Road, and that's what he does. And we want to learn more about that, who he is. But Darin, welcome to the Whole Story podcast.
Hey, it's great to be here. And I'll give my shameless plug for Western Birch. I mean, I don't know how they stay in business because I feel like I don't break enough of them.
Seriously,
you know, those tees are incredibly strong. Everywhere we've had them. When I was at Rams Hill, we used Western Birch, and I love them. So anyway, sorry.
No, many of our guests do a second plug for Western Birch. They are just that good. So
yeah. Yep. I lose a lot more balls than ever break a number of tees whenever I go play golf now.
I think I'm the same way, probably.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you want to know about me? I do. For the last 2 years, I've been working on marketing at Tobacco Road. I am now part of the team at Gamble Sands up in Eastern Washington. I also have a business venture, I guess, with for people out there who know golf photographer Brian Orr. He and his brother, also named Darin, own a golf packaging company out here in the West called Golf Package Pros that has Las Vegas and Scottsdale and St. George. And so anytime you're seeing all those kind of amazing photos and videos and whatnot, I'm helping them with their marketing efforts as well. So I kind of have a few clients, and I just love kind of turning people on to places to play golf that I've found over the years that I love.
Yeah, one of my first questions was going to be starting off with the fact that you probably have a resume that every person who's going to listen to this be like, I want that job. I wish I had that career. But where did that start? Were you the kid at 3 years old that had the chopped down clubs from your dad and started playing, or did you come to this at a later age?
I was not looking to be in the golf business in any way, shape, or form for a long, long time. I was in the newspaper business. I was a Sunday editor of a paper in Las Vegas. And I ran a paper here in Central California. And I eventually, when the newspaper business started to falter, I decided it was time to get out and started looking for something to do that was golf related because I just love playing golf. And at that point, I wasn't even a huge golf traveler. Like I would go an occasional place, but like buddy trips, that kind of thing, that all the things that we know today, I never did that stuff. And so I just kind of played local golf. And so I found an opportunity to partner up with a friend in Reno who owned a magazine called Fairways and Greens at the time, which later became Golf Getaways. And eventually we owned that together. And it just kind of went from there. And we ran that for a long time. We sold it to a company out of Boston. We worked for them for a little bit. They decided they wanted to get out of golf publishing, and kind of like what happened to me with newspapers, same thing happened to me in the magazine business. As it started to falter, and I was kind of figuring out what I wanted to do in this new media landscape. And I got a call one day about working for Rams Hill, which is a top 100 course down outside Palm Springs, between Palm Springs and San Diego. And I started working for them. And as part of, in all of that, I started working on a project up on the Oregon coast. And then one thing led to another. I ended up at Tobacco Road, for this time. And now I've partnered with a group out of Toronto called Match Play Media on the work that we're doing with Gamble Sands as they get ready to unveil their second full golf course next summer. So it's been a long road. I've been incredibly fortunate and had some great friends along the way to help me find, all the spots that I've landed in. And I'm incredibly blessed to be able to work in the golf business now and just love what I do and enjoy it.
So when you say you do marketing for these courses, tell that to the audience. Like, what all does that entail? I know we see you on social media posting for them, but what all do you do as far as marketing for a course?
Yeah, generally when I have a client like that, I'm the guy behind the social media accounts. Whether that's Instagram and Twitter primarily, but also Facebook, some accounts where we've added TikTok, putting together YouTube channels, those types of things. I also do a lot of email marketing, and so most of the places I go to have a pretty robust email marketing list, and I've tried to kind of apply a different line of attack in terms of hitting that list on a regular basis with stuff that's interesting to people and gets people excited to come play. Those are the primary things that I do. I also work in website design on some projects. We'll be doing some of that with Gamble Sands. And I do a lot of consulting on the operations side these days too, because I've kind of been able to, over the years, kind of merge the marketing side with what I know about golf courses needing to make revenue, especially in this marketplace. And so almost everything I do, I kind of bring a revenue eye to and try to say, well, what's the best way for us to drive more eyeballs so that we drive more people to the golf course, and the golf course, makes a profit, because for so long, so many golf courses didn't. The market was tight for a long, long time. And even now, it's tight. It's hard for golf courses, even at higher rates and higher prices. It's hard for golf courses to make a profit because all the expenses right now, with inflation and everything, are crazy. And so it's so I kind of run the gamut on that, and I like to think of myself as a 5 tools baseball player. That I can kind of do whatever, or at least the utility infielder. And I can jump in anywhere somebody needs.
So how does that work though? Because you're in California, you're doing media for a course in North Carolina, plus another place. I'm assuming you have amazing traveler points with whatever airline you work, or how does that work within a team with everyone else that's represented at the course?
I think if this had happened, like if I had started this, and to be honest, I started at Rams Hill before the pandemic, but I was there during the pandemic, and the pandemic changed everything, because so many people were working remotely. There's so much more we could do. The tools for working remotely, whether it's something like this that we're on Riverside, whether it's Slack or Zoom and all those things, they just became so much better. And so we were able, I'm able to work as, in contact with people from all these places on a daily, almost hourly basis. And so it's almost no different than, working in an office place and walking into the next room. Sure, there are some things that are easier when you're on property. When I've had to go to Tobacco Road, or when I go up to, I'm heading up to Gamble Sands in October for a big media event. It's easier to do things face to face sometimes. But also sometimes it's easier to do things, digitally, because then the recipient can kind of process that information when they're ready to, as opposed to you walking into an office when somebody's got 20 other things on their mind. So I would say, if there was a silver lining in the pandemic, it was that it changed so much of that allowed us to do things. I don't have nearly as many miles as you would think, flight miles, but I put a lot of miles on a car. In fact, I just bought a new small truck because I knew I was going to be working for Gamble and making the trip up there, and flying to some of these places, especially remote destinations, is a lot harder than just getting in the car and driving, because eventually you've got to fly through 2 airports and then rent a car anyway. So anyway, I put a lot of miles over the years on vehicles here, especially here in the Western U.S.
So no private jets in the golf world. Is that what you're saying?
No private jets that I've found yet.
All right, we'll keep looking.
They daring to get a NetJet sponsorship or something.
There you go. There you go. Can't we get them to sponsor this pod?
Yeah, might as well.
Listen, I'd go play golf all over the place if they.
Hey, as far as telling stories, there's no better way to get to a course to tell stories than on NetJet.
That's right.
There you go. I love it.
Yep. So, you talk about telling stories and doing marketing for these courses. What comes first? Because like Tobacco Road, Gamble Sands, Rams, like all these are like destination courses, and they seem like incredible places. What comes first, the story or the course? Because it seems like they're incredible places. And maybe it's the combination of the two that you're just helping to get the word out there that are making it more and more of I got to get there and play.
Right. I try to work with places that I think people absolutely are going to love if they're there. And it starts with that. We always talk about Tobacco Road. Tobacco Road was not built by anybody other than Mike Strantz. And Mike Strantz is the best marketing that Tobacco Road will ever have in all of the Mike Strantz courses. His legacy is what sells those golf courses. But then you get there and the courses are fantastic. Tobacco Road has been my favorite place to play since the day I went there. It will probably likely always be my favorite place to play golf. Gamble Sands is fantastic story in that it was built out in, this remote area of Eastern Washington, and now it has blossomed into this golf resort that you can do almost anything and go out there for 3 or 4 days and just have an absolute blast. So, I mean, the facilities matter. When we talk about Golf Package Pros, Black Desert has just opened in St. George, Utah. It's amazing. And just getting people there is the trick. But what I like to do, and because I have a journalism background and I take that approach, is I want to tell the stories that are within that. I want to say, I want to tell people about, well, how did this come to be? What's the story behind the designers? David McClay Kidd at Gamble Sands has nothing but stories, and he's as busy as anybody in the industry right now. So it's a lot of fun to talk about him. And it's a lot of fun to talk with him. I was just on a call yesterday with his assistant, Nick Sean, talking about the new course and kind of going through the hole by hole of it and the design philosophy and the differences in the land. And it's all of those stories that you tell and you get people excited about. And that in the days of the magazine, you had to wait a month to see those. Well, now it is a steady stream. It's this machine that we have to, keep fed all the time with great photography, with great video. And, that's kind of what I try to do at all these places, is not just tell the stories from my perspective and from talking, but also bring partners in who can use their skills, whether that's Brian or photography, or at Gamble Sands, someone like Jeff Marsh, who doesn't live far away. These guys who can capture the essence of a property in just an image or a video clip. Getting all those people on the same page is a big job, and it takes a substantial amount of time. I've been able to do that for multiple courses sometimes at the same time, and that helps the course itself, because maybe they don't have to have a full-time marketing person on property. Maybe we can do it, we can piece it together, which is what kind of I've tried to work on.
Yeah, and piecing that together though, let's talk. If you're being approached by someone, or let's just take Tobacco Road, it's in our backyard. What was that? Was it that first experience that kind of hooked you whenever you went to the course and they said, hey, we're interested in doing this? Do you play around the golf as you're sort of figuring out if you're going to work there or not? Or is there another step to the process?
Well, most places I've gone to work, or people I've gone to work with, I've known for a long time.
Okay.
So I've been there. I mean, I went to Tobacco Road for the first time, I forget, I figured it out the other day, but I want to say it was 15 years ago. So I've been, and I fell in love with it right away. And then I've been a friend of the owner for all that time. So when it came time for him to make some changes and he decided he needed some help, I was a guy on the short list because he knew what I was doing at Rams Hill. He knew the types of things and the way I thought. And we had similar philosophies of what we did. And so it worked out. Same thing with Gamble Sands. I've been going there for years. I've been going to Gamble Sands since before they had lodging on property. Had to stay actually down in a little resort hotel by the river in the town, about 15 minutes away. And when I go up there occasionally, I take friends and whatnot, and I became friends with the GM. We started talking about, is there any way I could help? And as they moved forward with this, and as I started working with Match Play out of Toronto, we were like, well, here's something we could do. Let's do it. And they went through the process and vetted us and said, yeah, this seems like it makes sense. And there's a lot of work to do in launching a golf course, which is essentially we're 11 months away or a little bit less from the actual day it opens to the public. And there's a lot of stuff that's going to happen next summer. Gamble Sands will likely take over the internet next summer. You might not be able to look anywhere without seeing something from Gamble Sands because there are going to be some great events out there. And there's going to be just a lot of publications and people talking about this golf course that David and Nick have designed, which is kind of up on a ridge as opposed to where the more flatland area that the first golf course was. And so it really is going to be an amazing 1-2 punch plus a short course that they already have that they built during the pandemic. That's just a blast to play. So it's I think that's kind of how it works. I'm very relationship based, and I only really want to work for places that I really, really love. I'm in a unique position. I don't have to do any of this. And so I'm not in it for the money. I'm not in it for the glory. I'm just in it to help people and try to put people together who are talented people. And hopefully we all tell the story of these great places and people come play and experience it for themselves and then fall in love and create their own stories as they go forward. So,
yeah. Well, you mentioned Jeff Marsh. We've heard, we've met him and become friends with him. Great guy. But he's talked about Gamble Sands and just the how cool it is and why you need to get there. I know they did a Restoration Club event there, and we weren't able to join them for that. But folks like Matt Janella, like I know he's got an event coming up in October. Maybe that's part of what you're going to. But so many people are talking about Gamble Sands, and then David McClay Kidd. Like the name speaks for itself based on the work he's doing. And yes, I don't know how these guys do it or are building all these courses in all over the world and keep up with it. But that's a little different to move dirt and do that all over the world versus telling social media stories and marketing all over the world.
Absolutely. You can't do all that remotely. You can't do what these designers do remotely. So it's amazing. It's amazing the landscape of how many great golf courses are being built right now. I mean, we're in the golden age of new what I call modern dunes creation, basically, because the Kaisers essentially started everything in terms of that. These big resorts that are being built in remote locations on fantastic pieces of land. And so between the abandoned properties and everything that goes with that and the Sand Valley and then the Cabot brand now going all over the place, there's so much being built. Match Play, who I work with, also has a hand in Rodeo Dunes. It's getting built in Colorado. There's another one being built down in Texas. It's just it blows your mind to think about all the great golf and that we can sustain it right now because people just keep playing. Like, I know golf is expensive in some regards, but that's not stopping people from going. Man, I went to Chambers Bay just a month ago on my way up to Gamble on a trip, and it was slammed, jam-packed. And, and it's one of the pricier tickets out there. And, you just, people are playing and people love it. And there are a lot of people with, for everything we say about inflation, there are also a lot of people with disposable income, and a lot of those people play golf, and they're going to find these amazing places to play. I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna fly and go play Cabot St. Lucia, next year, because that's the next one I want to go, because I'm a huge fan of Cabot and Cabot Cliffs in Nova Scotia. And I want to see what they've done down there. Brian has actually been down there and shot photography of it, and it looks fantastic. So yeah, I mean, you can't throw a rock these days without finding a premium golf project, and I like that because I like premium golf.
Where does the intersection come? Because I've got one of my good friends, he's a marketing guy, and I've worked with marketing people, and they'll tell you they drive everything. And then at some point, there's an architect, right, that sees something, designs something. There's obviously the nature of the land around it. Like, you can't have Cabot Cliffs without cliffs.
Yep.
You know, St. Lucia doesn't sound like a hard sell to a lot of people because, like, hey, let's go to a Caribbean island and have a good time. But so where does that intersection come? And specifically, obviously, your role in that. Like, you talk about telling stories, but all these great courses and the photographers and everything that come together, where is it that those all meet together to make the perfect experience?
Well, it all starts with ownership that has a vision. I mean, Mark Stewart was ahead of his time when he brought Mike Strantz in to basically take this piece of family land and turn it into a golf course. And they took a huge risk in what they did. And so, and it has now paid off. And it took a long time for it to pay off. I mean, they've done a great job and they've been profitable, but it hasn't been an easy road by any means. And I think so many golf courses were in that, kind of that position for a long time. But you have to have ownership and you have to have the land. The land is key. These days you got to have water, which is another part that, can't build a golf course on great land if you're not going to have water. And so there are all these things that have to come together. Marketing for me comes in much later. In fact, right now we're trying to come up with the name for the second golf course at Gamble. And it's an interesting thing because I started a project, helped start a project in Roseburg, Oregon, that's called Bar Run. Dan Hickson built a golf course, and we went through a whole thing about how to name it. And we even had a contest that we put out. But we were naming a business, basically. You're naming a resort. Well, at Gamble Sands, the brand and the resort's already there. It's always going to be Gamble Sands. So it's a different process to try to name a second golf course that's going to be there and come up with the logo and the branding and the merch and all that type of thing. I've never felt like marketing. I feel like marketing is a tool, basically, and it's a way to drive eyeballs. That's all I ever say. I'm just looking for the most eyeballs I can find on social media and the most people I can get to respond or click a button in email marketing to be able to make all of this work. And then it's on the operations. And one of the things that I think is great about Gamble Sands is they understand that so clearly, that they want the experience there to get better and better and better. And they keep adding things. They just added some new food and beverage options. They've done some things. They're adding more lodging, but they understand that the key is once we get them there, we've got to make them. The golf course has to wow them, but the experience has to be so good as well that there's nothing standing in your way of coming back and year after year or month after month or 3 times a year or whatever. And so that's kind of, I think, the progression of all this, and marketing just fills a role in the middle of that. So
how, we talk about logos, we're big logo fans. How do you guys go about kind of creating that logo? Like, because that's the brand. We talk about it as kind of like a badge of honor, like a pride thing. I saw somebody here in South Carolina wearing a Sand Valley shirt, and I'm like, that's awesome. Like, yeah. I see that. And you want to do that and have somebody say, ooh, what's that? That's a cool logo. And then they can help in kind of the marketing world, like tell that story of, you got to go to Gamble Sands, like, or wherever. So how does logo creation, what kind of role do you have in that piece as well, besides the naming of it?
It's different everywhere. In this case, we went through a lot of potential names at Gamble Sands. We've settled on some options. And then because I'm working with Match Play on this and they have a full team, they've got a team of artists, they're now working on just a range of what will the word mark look like, what might the logo look like. And these days, because there's so much specialty merchandise that we can do, and there are people who like some people want the words of the golf course. Some people want a logo that is just the logo. All that type of thing that we have to, we will build multiple versions, and then everybody will get together. There's an entire family who owns Gamble Sands. So there's people to chime in there. There's the operations people. There's people on our marketing side. We will go through all these things and try to figure out what is the single image that really, moves the needle. I mean, you talk about people talking about, seeing your logo on somewhere. I've been wearing Tobacco Road gear for years, obviously. And I've been everywhere from Bandon Dunes to Arcadia Bluffs, where people, see it and go, "Oh, I made it out to Tobacco Road, and it was so fantastic." And that's the beauty of these logos, and that's not just the logo, even though an identifiable logo is key, but it is also it's an identifier for a golf course that people have a shared experience and love for. So, I mean, you can wear the Bandon gear anywhere in the world right now, and somebody will stop you at some point and say something about it. And there's a reason for that, It's because there's been a lot of shared experiences, even for people who aren't there at the same time at many of these great resorts.
Yeah. We definitely need to get some Bandon gear. That's on our bucket list of places to go, as well as Gamble Sands and basically all the ones you're mentioning.
I just did. I do. We didn't say this off the top, and not to use your podcast to plug mine. I've done a Talking Golf Getaways podcast for a long time with my good friend Mitch Lawrence.
Yeah, I was going to ask about it.
He was a writer and an actor and comedian, and worked on Saturday Night Live for a stint. He and his brother both. And we literally just recorded a podcast yesterday about this trip that I took, where my friends flew into Seattle. I met them there. We played around the Seattle area. We drove over and spent some time at Gamble. And then they went home, and I hit Bandon Dunes on my way back. And so we talked about some of the new stuff at Bandon. And man, if you guys can get there, it's really just almost the ultimate playground right now in terms of all the food and beverage options and all the golf options. And it just feels like you almost have to stay a week, when you're there. So that's
if we have to.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Exactly.
I mean, if we have to, I guess we will.
Yeah. Just for the sake of the industry,
that's right.
You guys should have to go to Bandon at some point. And if you're coming out to the Pacific Northwest, then you should definitely come to Gamble as well.
It's like a road trip.
Sounds like a 2-week deal.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you'll need a vacation schedule, definitely.
There you go.
Talk about how the personality of the golf courses. You talk about operations. You talk about the experience, right? So you go to Bandon, it's an event. You go to Gamble, it's an event. You go to Tobacco, it's an event for most people, right? Unless you live down the street. But talk about how those different personalities come out based on owner, manager, vision, all of that kind of stuff.
I think it's different among all of it. And I've spent a long time talking about this, in my many years in this business now. I have a really good friend, Eric Hart, who was the general manager for a while at a place in Minnesota, outside Minneapolis, called Wild Marsh. And he and I have spent hours and hours and hours talking about operations and about the feel you get when you walk into any facility, and about the customer service and, all these things, because you can ruin a bucket list trip with something very small. I see petty small grievances get lodged all the time about stuff. And that's the trick when it comes to operations, that you've got to anticipate. There was a movie a long time ago, I think it was called Swimming with Sharks, that was like, it talked about anticipating people's needs. And you have to do that. And if you're not doing it, you'll get caught. That'll be the problem. Something will go wrong. And even if it's not the golf course's fault, or it's not an employee's fault, or whatever, you lose a customer. And I have places like that I've been. I've played more than 500 golf courses. I've been to more than 100. I've stayed in more than 100 hotels/resorts over the course of my time doing this. And numbers might be closer to 200 these days. But, I have places on that list that I think to myself, I'll never go back. And it's not because I didn't like the golf course. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's just one experience, that there was something that it just didn't ring right, and the whole thing didn't feel right. And I'm like, I've got all these places to choose from. Golf industry is huge. There are places to play for everybody and every budget, to be honest. And I'm going to make my choices based on the ones that have, I felt like I was at home the minute I got there. I felt that way at Gamble the very first time I went. I'll say something else, I have a shameless plugs for Gamble, and that's, I guess that's why
Absolutely.
I'm on here. But the team there, the family and David McClay Kidd, when they built the original golf course, they really put a lot of thought into how do golfers get around this property? What's the footprint look like? And so basically you parked your car, you took a few steps to the clubhouse, you took a few steps to the restaurant to get your drink or whatever. You took a few steps to the putting green, and you took a few steps to the first tee. And that whole area, maybe you took 100 steps. And it was brilliant. The first time I was there, I was like, everything is right here. I've been to other places where you got to walk up 5 flights of stairs to get here and to go to this thing and whatnot. And when you put that much thought into just how golfers are going to maneuver, now, of course, the resort's gotten bigger. They had to move the range, but Quicksands is still just a few steps down a hill. But the new golf course will take, a little bit farther to get to. But that initial thought of how to make the golf course as convenient as possible for the guy showing up who's already excited. I've already heard about this place and I can't wait to get there. And then everything is intuitive when I get there. That's the holy grail. And when you can hit it, it's just, it's unbelievable, and that's, when we talk about Bandon's been the leader in that for years. They keep adding more and more stuff. I went to Sand Valley last year with my same buddy, who I went up on this Gamble trip with, but also with Mitch and with Chris McEwen, who does the Golf Origin Story podcast and it does a lot of work. And we were blown away. Like, they had built a barbie. They needed more food and beverage options. So they built almost a barbecue tent on the first tee of the short course. And so we walked off after playing the short course in bare feet. We walked off and walked into this place and ate brisket for lunch. And I was like, it's like somebody was reading my diary. It's like, how did you come up with this idea? And so the Kaisers have been masters of finding how to put all these things together and to have very different food and beverage options and golf options. They want people's brains and stomachs and tongues to be stimulated as much as possible the entire time they're there. And they want to hit whatever your sweet spot is. They've got something to hit it. And so I think that's what we're trying to do at Gamble Sands as well.
Well, you said barefoot golf and brisket coming off the course. You got Jonathan.
Gosh, I'm sold. Yeah. If I can, anywhere I can not wear shoes, it's perfect.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. That place, the Sandbox, is so much fun. And I don't usually do that. I've played in flip-flops and things like that, but we were all just on the first tee. And it's funny because you go to the first tee and
pile of shoes.
You look down, there's a pile of shoes. Yeah. Yeah. And I had a buddy at Quicksands did that on this trip too, where he was having, some blister problems or whatever. And he goes, I'm just not going to wear my shoes while I play Quicksands, and I'll take them off, put them right there by the first tee. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
So,
well, you mentioned kind of the experience and the personality of all these things. And I think what you said is there's so many options, but coming back for that second trip is what's going to, what all the little things are about in doing right. And also telling others, right? We always hear in the business world, marketing, whatever, like people are much quicker to say negative things about a bad experience or something like that. But you want those people walking out of Gamble Sands and telling their other golf buddies at their local course, like, you guys, we have to do this again next year. Y'all have to do this. And they're continuing on and on again about what a great time they had. Jonathan and I are going back to Landman. I went last year, heading back there in a few days, and the incredible experience, the people, the environment that you're in. And that's what, to us, that's what it's all about, right? It's about the experience and having fun on a golf course. Yeah, it's nice to play awesome courses. Hopefully you play well, but it's about the experience.
Yeah, exactly. And not only do you want people to come back from a financial standpoint, but sometimes you want people to come back because I've always been an advocate of the more times you play something, the more you begin to understand and unlock and crack the code of what the designer was trying to do. And that's, Tobacco Road, that's kind of, I've seen people, Tobacco Road, Tot Hill Farm, Caledonia, True Blue, I've seen people walk off and not get it, the first time. But if the experience overall and the fun and they're treated well and the visuals and all those things that they love, they're like, I'm going to give that another try. Then they'll play it a second time and they're like, how did I not understand this or this or this? And I think most golf courses, the really great golf courses, playing them over and over again is what kind of, like I said, unlocks that part of your brain where you're like, oh, now I see how I can do this, how I see I can do this. There are holes on golf courses for me, and I don't know if everybody's this way. Maybe I'm just a little weird, but there are times when I'm playing golf courses I played before that there are holes on that golf course that I love so much, but the strategy is so interesting on them that when I tee off on the first hole, I'm already thinking about what am I going to do? At Gamble Sands, that's the par 4 fifth. I tee off on the first hole and I'm already thinking about what is my approach shot going to be like on the par 4 fifth. If you guys ever get there, you'll understand why. But it's like, I think you want to keep playing, you want to have fun. And that's what some of this great golf that's being built, that's the whole point, is big and bold and visual and having a blast. I haven't been to Landman just because I've spent a lot of time in Nebraska because I've been to Prairie Club in Dismal and I played Sandhills and I played, all the things. I've played the smaller courses, but I just haven't been back to Nebraska since Landman opened. And that's all I hear is what you just said, that it's just fun, pure fun. And that's what King Collins does. I mean, that's what those guys are. Yeah. They're all about fun. We did an event before, I guess it was before the pandemic, at Sweetens, where we bought out the place for 2 days and had a bunch of people come in and just played golf and had food brought in and that's all it was just fun, hitting golf shots. We played cross country. We played, for me, my philosophy has always been, I stopped being a player who was chasing scratch a long time ago. And now I remember shots far more than I remember scores. I can tell you what my best scores are, but those aren't the moments I remember. The moments I remember are great shots that I've pulled off on fantastic holes that I love, or great shots that friends have pulled off while I've been with them. My buddy Mitch made a hole-in-one. We were out playing in the late afternoon. We were just going to play 3 holes in the late afternoon at Rams Hill. The only time that he ever came down to Rams Hill while I was working there. So Mitch comes down to Rams Hill. We're like, let's go out and play 3 holes in the late afternoon when the sun is perfect. And we get to par 3, and we both play hickories. We haven't even started talking about that. I play 100-year-old hickory clubs most of the time.
That's
and
awesome.
He says, he's playing out of my bag, and he says, which should I hit? And I give him my long iron, and he hits a little draw up this par 3. And as we're walking up, he goes, boy, I hit that really good. And I was photographing him, so I didn't really watch the shot. As we're walking up, I'm shooting pictures because the light's great and everything. And all of a sudden we get up. He gets up to the green. He goes, my ball's not on the green. I think it's in the hole. I'm like, what? And sure enough, he'd made a hole-in-one, while we were just out there screwing around, having a good time. And it's one of the memories I'll have forever in my life of not just great times with Mitch, which I've had many over the years, but great times I've had on a golf course, just singular moments on a golf course. And it had nothing to do with trying to shoot 2 over par or shoot 74 as I did once at Sheep Ranch.
Nice. Well, tell us, give us a plug on the podcast. Tell us what you guys are doing with that and where people can find it.
I don't know how many episodes we have now. I mean, it's wherever you find podcasts. We're on Apple and whatever. I think we upload it to Audio Boom, is the way we do it. We couldn't have continued doing it without the great Chris McEwen. He's kind of the tech wizard. And for years and years, we did a lot of them. And I was the guy trying to edit them and, plus doing a regular job. I mean, I applaud anybody who edits these things. But Mitch had done one called Golf Connections for a long time where it was more long form interviews. And we kind of came up with this idea of almost the Seinfeld concept. We like this so much. We get on the phone and we laugh. Let's make it a show. And so we just try to, if we have guests, we try to have them, be people that we just want to help. We want to illuminate whatever they're doing. We want to tell people about golf courses we love, and we just like talking golf. That's why it's called Talking Golf Getaways. We just like talking about travel. Sometimes we got tips in there. Sometimes we don't. Yesterday was just a ramble of so many different things that's almost catching up on the summer. Mitch had a great round of golf in Pinehurst with a family out of Hawaii, a golfing family out of Hawaii that he absolutely adores, and had a blast doing that. So if people want to go listen to it, Talking Golf Getaways, the one we recorded yesterday isn't quite up yet, but maybe by the time this is up, it might be. But yeah, we just like talking and having Chris on it now because we're all in different places. Mitch is based in Myrtle Beach. I'm out here in the West. Chris is in Chicago. We also talk probably more about music and pop culture than we should. Just Chris is an avid Pearl Jam fan. And so, nice. In fact, he was telling me yesterday on the podcast, this will be the thing that he's seen, I think he's seen Pearl Jam, he said 49 times. And so his goal is for the 50th time he sees them to see them actually in Seattle. So he's trying to work out a deal where then we'll come out too and we'll play golf in the Seattle area and then we'll go to gamble. So, I mean, that could be another fantastic golf memory.
That'd be awesome.
But let me just a word about Mitch real quick. And I mentioned this earlier. I mean, like he's been, Mitch was on Dawson's Creek. If you ever watched that when you were a kid, he's been on the original Matlock. He's been on all kinds of stuff over the years. Both he and his twin brother are actors. You may have seen his brother was on Beverly Hills 90210. So, we give him a hard time for all of his acting stuff on the podcast as well. His greatest work ever was he starred in basically a kind of when Aliens was huge. They made another movie to kind of capitalize on that genre, and it is called Sinjanor. It is not streaming anywhere, but we actually use audio clips from Sinjanor in the opening to Talking Golf Getaways, just as an homage to Mitch and his acting career. But
man, that's great.
He's got more stories than anybody, and he's one of my best friends, and I could just talk to him forever about anything. It doesn't matter. Last night he called me and we talked for an hour about golf stuff. So, in the middle of the night. So it's just that Talking Golf Getaways is kind of an extension.
Very nice.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, that sounds more like VHS release than maybe something you find on Netflix.
Yeah.
Very nice. Well, all right. So we've talked about kind of what you're doing in golf and all this other stuff. And I know you talked about the shots or the things that you remember the most. So we ask all our guests, I don't know if you've listened to any of our podcasts, but what's the story of your most memorable golf shot?
Oh, well, I mean, I've had a couple holes in one.
So combined between the three of us now, we have a couple holes in one.
That's right.
You got neither one of you?
No.
I have,
come close.
I'll tell them to you in reverse order. I have one hole in one with the hickories, and it was on quicksands at Gamble Sands last summer. I was out there and I was playing by myself. There's a hole called the corkscrew where they designed this thing that if you played up the back slope, the ball will literally roll down in kind of a corkscrew motion. And if the pin is on the right side, you can get it really close. And so I had a little hickory wedge in my hand, and I was there. And I was like, boy, I'm thinking to myself, the perfect shot. I know this hole so well. The perfect shot is just over the right side here to this flag, just over the right of the flag. And I hit it exactly like I wanted to, and it rolled up the slope. And I was like, this is going to get really close. And I kept watching, and it dropped in the hole. And I, of course, then turned on my phone, and I talked the whole way up because there's no proof of this, obviously. I don't have a witness. And so I have that on my social somewhere. I don't remember if I still have it pinned on my Twitter or not. So that's the only one I've ever done with that. I also have a hole in one in Las Vegas on a course called Angel Park on the mountain course where I never saw the ball go in the hole because I hit it again just over the flag. And I turned around to my buddies. I was like, oh, that was so close. And as I turned around and complained, it spun back and went in the hole. And I saw the look on all three of their faces as it went in the hole. But I didn't actually see the ball go in the hole. But the best shot I ever had was I was at Pebble. And I was playing the 5th hole at Pebble just after they had redesigned it. So Nicholas came in. I don't know if everybody knows that story, but the 5th hole used to go up a hill. And then Nicholas came in. They acquired this piece of land along the ocean cliff to make a logical extension there, and they built this hole. And I think it played 129 yards from where we were playing it the day we played it. I was out there with 3 other singles. All 4 of us had caddies, and the other 3 either had a girlfriend or a wife walking with them. My wife did not come along because she went to the spa that day. And I hit a shot. I think I hit a knockdown 9-iron to the back right flag. It went over this little ridge and went toward the hole. And my caddy jumps up on a thing and he goes, I don't see it on the green. And I was like, well, I'm sure it just rolled off the edge or something like that. And we got up there and it was in the hole. And so I had, I was basically 10 witnesses, something like that for this hole. And I was standing on the 5th at Pebble, looking out over the ocean, thinking to myself, how did I get here? Because there was a time in my life I didn't really even understand what Pebble Beach was, other than the place that had the golf tournament. And, never thought I would be out there playing it. And since I've been incredibly fortunate to go play many times and play the courses there. And so that's probably the best shot most memorable shot I've ever hit. The most fun shots I have is my Hickory set. I have a club, 100-year-old club called a Jigger. And I can hit it like a 7-iron if I full swing it, but it's really my chipping club. And I have chipped close with it from as far as 100 yards out on links golf courses. And so it's the club I want in my hand whenever I can possibly have it in my hand, because I just love the creativity of trying to hit shots with it. Now, that's a long-winded answer for all of that.
Perfect. No, that's great. I'm hoping to have one of those types of stories at some point in my life.
I'm sure you will, man. You hit enough golf shots. Somebody, who was it? Shane Bacon went long time, and then finally had one at Wine Valley. My friend Joe Sass, who I've mentioned a few times on this already, just had his first last week, at a golf course in Texas, and now says we have to call him Joe Ace the rest of his life. So,
well, I'm saying I'm going to have one on the 14th at Landman this year, the Redan. So I'm calling it now.
I'll tell you what, I've come so close with Hickories and Modern clubs on the 17th at Tobacco Road. I've been inside 2 feet probably 10 times over the years. And I've always thought that if I was going to get one with the Hickories, on a full course, that might be the spot that it happens.
That'd be a fun spot.
Yeah. I always figure if I get one good golf shot out of the 100 and some odd swings I take in a day, then I'm good. Like, I'll come back and it's all right. Works okay.
Somebody wrote a column, a friend of Mitch's, I want to say it, Lauren Rubenstein wrote something about a friend of his who was getting up in life. I want to say his last name is Grimmer, and that he calls great shots Grimmers, and that's how he keeps score in a round. He doesn't care about what the score is. It's how many of those shots. And Mitch and I have done that before, where we'll go out and play and we're like, okay, just keep track of the shots you love. Yeah. And it's a fun way to play golf, man, because then
that's awesome.
You don't care. You're so risk reward that it doesn't matter, because you're just going to hit shots. I struggled the day we played at Chambers Bay, even though it was a fantastic day. But I holed out of a bunker for par with my Hickory wedge, and everything else the rest of the day was gravy.
That's right. Rest of the day
you got to play that, but make your friend declare it a Grimmer or not.
Yeah, there you go. I like it.
Hey golf friends, this is Robbie from BestBall. Are you looking for the ultimate Myrtle Beach golf experience? Well, it's only a click away. Check out the 2-play special at 2 of America's most awarded public golf courses and 2 of my personal favorites. Caledonia Golf and Fish Club and True Blue Golf Club are low country masterpieces featuring 2 iconic Mike Strantz designs. Play these 2 incredible courses for one great price. Visit truebluegolf.com to learn more about the 2-play special and book your tee time today. That's truebluegolf.com.
All right, we do another thing we call the quick nine. So just a little back and forth.
We do a quick nine on Talking Golf
do you?
Getaways. We used
Yes.
to. We used
I-
to.
I
We haven't done
knew
it
we
in a
were all
while,
buddies.
but-
Yeah.
All right, hit me with them. I like it.
All right. Favorite course that you've played, and it sounds like you have a lot to choose from.
Well, I mean, Tobacco Road has long been my favorite place I played, and that's why I ended up going to work there. I mean, there are other courses. Is one of these questions going to be like the hidden gem
Yeah.
of golf? Because
cheat.
Yeah.
Don't
Save
cheat.
it. Save it.
All right, I'll say. I mean, you can Tobacco Road.
Tobacco
Although
Road.
I am my top. Let me say it this way: I have 4 courses that I would go back to in a heartbeat. Tobacco Road is one of them. Gamble Sands is one of them. Cabot Cliffs is one of them, and the Sheep Ranch at Bandon is. Those are kind of like the 4 that for the past 10 years I've been like, if I can get to these and play these golf courses, I will be happy. And so
That's
that's
a good list.
kind of where we are.
Very nice. All right. Well, what course is at the top of your bucket list?
Oh, that's a really good question. Well, St. Lucia we mentioned. That's probably where I want to go. I'm the only person I know, although I heard yesterday that this might, I think Casey Bannon at Golfers Journal is going to find a way to make this happen too. But I'm the only person I know who's played all the Strantz courses who wasn't part of the Strantz universe. Because there are 2 here in California, and then the ones in Virginia, the ones in North Carolina or in the Carolinas. I would like to do that, and I'm probably too old for it now, but I would love to do that with David McClay Kids courses. He's got so many just cool places. He's got a course out in Hawaii. He's got courses he's built in Portugal, I think, and other places. So I love his architecture so much. I would love to just try to play all of his type of courses, but all of these ones now too that everybody's building, Landman's on that list, of where I want to be because I do love Nebraska golf so much. And, I've never had a bad experience in Nebraska, and I don't suspect I will, at this point. And, Rob Collins is an acquaintance. So I'd like to call him a friend. We've talked over the years, and I can't wait to get out there and see it. If I can find a way to do it. Next year is going to be pretty busy for me with the opening of Gamble Sands, so my travel plans will probably be judicious. But yeah, I would love to get out there. I knocked another one off just recently in that Mitch and I and my friend Vic Williams, who I owned Golf Getaways with for a number of years, we all got the gang back together for the first time in many, many years in St. George, which is where Brian is based. And we went and played Black Desert, which is
nice.
just opening.
Nice.
And it's just absolutely stunning. And the entire experience, another place, talk about an experience. They didn't have a clubhouse yet. They don't have food and beverage operation yet. So they brought in a local taco truck and just put it in the parking lot. And we're like, hey, as part of your green fee, order whatever you want from the taco truck. And I was like, I mean, now there's some creative thinking. It's just, and the golf course itself, just absolutely fantastic. So.
All right.
All right.
You alluded to it a little bit. Hidden gem golf course.
Oh man, there are so many, I guess is the way. I like to talk about, I've played a lot of golf in Scotland, and I've played a lot of golf in Ireland. Not a lot of golf. I took one trip to Northern Ireland. I played a lot of golf in Scotland. There's a course in Scotland called Dunbar, where it's a links course on the ocean. It's super fun to play. Most people have never heard of it. The membership is fantastic and welcoming and accommodating. It's got ruins on the golf course. It's got a burn that goes through it. It's got it all. It's one of those magical places that I went to one time, and I think about it all the time. In Northern Ireland, there's a place called Ardglass that's not far from Royal County Down. Everybody talks about Royal County Down. Ardglass is just, again, magical. The clubhouse is a castle, and there's a cannon outside, on the first tee. And again, links golf. There's a kind of a halfway house at one point that is almost literally on a green. Like you can hit shots off the wall of it to ricochet them on the green. And it was just another place that I just found to be fantastic. Here in the U.S., I mean, I play a couple of golf courses here in California that people, there's a place called Monarch Dunes that has a golf course and a short course out on the coast. It's not right on the coast, but it's in a coastal town. There's a John Fote course called Ridge Creek that's in the middle of what was going to be a cotton field up here in Central California that I go play. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, the list of hidden gems is just it's unbelievable. I mean, I could put up a whole, I could name 20 golf courses if we had all day.
Sounds like they need a good marketing guy. They won't be hidden anymore.
I guess that's true. Some of these, I mean,
some like to stay hidden gems, though.
Well, yeah, exactly. And
Right.
some of them are as busy as can be. So, I say they're hidden gem because they don't get talked about nationally. But many of these places are doing fine, business wise. And because I know when I try to go, get a tee time, it's hard.
Yeah.
That's the trick. So
yeah, absolutely. Oh, you've referenced a number of people that have been lifelong good friends of yours, people that you've gotten to know. So this might be tough. Who would be in your dream foursome?
Boy, that's a good question. I mean, like a fantasy foursome or real people?
Yeah,
Anybody?
sure. Your dream.
I would love to play in a round of golf with Tiger and Phil at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know who the fourth would be. I'd probably try to take a friend with me.
Yeah.
For the fourth. But
It'd be hard to afford the bets on that one, though, don't you think?
Yeah,
Like,
well, that's true. Yeah, the wagering would be difficult. I've had a lot of interesting rounds of golf with people. I played in a very high money. Thankfully, I wasn't part of the high money, but I played in a high money match with Daniel Negreanu once. When I owned the magazine. Yeah, he was on the cover of Golf Getaways when we had it, and or I guess Fairways and Greens at the time it was probably, and that was interesting to see. Him and his friends who play poker and everything together, gambling for, I feel like $22,000 changed hands on the final putt, if I remember correctly. It was insane. So yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of that stuff. And then I just have friends who I love to play with. Mitch is who got me into playing hickory clubs. Brian Orr then got into playing hickory clubs. If we all go together somewhere and just play hickories, we have an absolute blast. It doesn't matter where we go or what course we play. We're just having a good time and John and yucking it up. And that's what golf's all about. So
Dude,
I guess that answers it.
Hickories, yeah. Best golf resort no one knows about.
I don't know there is one anymore.
Yeah, social media changes that.
Let's say Gearhart Links in Oregon. It has a McMinimans hotel that is one of the more creative things I've ever seen. And in fact, the floor I was staying on, somebody said to me, "Have you found the hidden room?" And I was like, "What?" And he said, "Well, go down at the end of your hall, go down and I think it was push on the picture of so-and-so and a door will open." And I'm like, all right. So I go do it and I walk into this room and it is like this glow in the dark little cubby hole room that had artwork. Somebody had done like artwork of, I think, old Tom Morris, and it had stars and it was like a disco ball type of thing. And it's one of the craziest things I've ever noticed on any hotel that I've ever been to. Plus, this place has a great, I don't remember if it's called the Bunker Bar specifically, but a great bunker bar down below where you could go down and, watch that. It felt very much like Ireland or Scotland. And the TVs were small, old style TVs and a little bar. You could order food. And then the golf course is just sheer fun. It got redone. I don't remember the whole story of it, but it got redone a while back. And I just happened to go play it one day when I was making a trip. And, I probably not enough people know about it, but I feel like Golfers Journal's done an event there and some of these other places.
The no laying up guys do it
probably
on their tourist summits.
Tom Coyne talked about it in his book, a course called America. And so it's definitely not so under the radar anymore, but it's definitely one of the more creative things that I've come across. And I keep thinking if I'm ever on that road going up, going up the coast, it's basically right on the 101, or I guess it's Highway 1 up there. I don't remember how it works, but I would definitely stop there and go again.
Nice. Yeah. All right. One of our favorites, Jonathan's favorite question for sure. Favorite snack on the golf course?
Oh, I'm a sucker for a Rice Krispie treat.
Oh,
yeah. Eric and I were in Canada and playing courses throughout the Canadian Shield, and we ran into at one of the halfway houses a maple Rice Krispie treat that they made on property, and we still talk about it to this day. It's it's fantastic. I'm also a sucker for not to just keep hyping Bandon. But Bandon's turn stands or out on the course, whatever we call them, because they're not always at the turn, have the best hot chocolate machines of any place I've ever been. It's just a super rich, silky hot chocolate. And what we started doing is that then we dose them with Fireball, and it will get your back nine rolling.
All right, that's a reason in itself to head up to Bandon.
Yeah, so there you go. And I think Mitch was the one who started that. But I've been drinking the hot chocolates ever since I've been there, and they're amazing.
I don't really drink, and as soon as you said hot chocolate and you said, if we fire, I'm like, going to put Fireball in it. Put a little cinnamon flavor.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a natural mix.
And the thing at Bandon is the hot chocolate comes in handy. I mean, I've played in some extreme weather at Bandon.
Yeah.
I played in weather where I got to the turn stand on Old Mac. I was the 8th guy there was a group of 7 and they had a spot and they put me as a single with these guys, and it rained and sideways for the whole time. And when we got up to, I think it's the 10th or 11th, wherever the turn stand is on Old Mac, I got my hot chocolate and I came back out, and the other 3 guys I was with and the 4 guys who were ahead of them were all just walking back to the clubhouse. And they were on the farthest point from the clubhouse on the golf course. And they were giving up and going all the way back just because they couldn't take it anymore. And I played as a single for the final, 7 or 8 holes. So, and drank my hot chocolate and Fireball and had a blast.
That's right.
So it helps. It helps when it's raining and cold.
Yes, it does.
What is your favorite golf course logo?
Ooh.
There's a lot to choose from.
I love a logo that, and I still don't, you would think I would know the answer to this, and somebody has told me. Tobacco Road has an alternative logo that is from a picture of Mike Strantz walking with a paint can.
Yep.
And I have a few hats that have that on it.
I've got that sticker on the back of this laptop I'm using right now.
Yeah, so there you go. And it's one of the predecessors there, Martha Hudson, had something to do with that, and it's cool on a hat. I have it. You probably can't see the hat up here, but I have it on a hat behind me.
Nice.
This one.
Yep.
Yeah, kind of.
Great logo.
So, that one's interesting. There's so many good logos out there. It's just, it's hard to choose which one. But we'll give that credit for today.
Yes. All right.
Oh, okay, let me say this. No, wait.
Yeah.
Hold on. I got one more. Hold on.
All right.
Gotta make sure I don't knock this over. I mentioned my buddy Eric at Wild Marsh. He designed this buffalo logo, which I absolutely loved. It feels like a puzzle, like you put puzzle pieces together on this buffalo, and then it's got the star, and it's got a little flag in there if you can't see the detail, and very gifted. When he went to work there, and his time there is ending, but when he started there, he really helped them with their merchandise, and that was kind of key to it, and it was really, really cool. So shout out to Eric Hart. So
very
mobile
nice.
Golfer on Instagram for anybody who probably follows him. He's literally, in fact, during this podcast, he's texting me photos from Ireland because he's in Ireland right now.
Oh.
So
I've had 2 conversations with 2 different friends that had just got back from Ireland and just raving about it, and now talking with you and hearing all these great things. So apparently there's good golf over there, Jonathan.
That's what I've heard.
That's what we heard. All right, you mentioned Pearl Jam earlier. What kind of music do you listen to on the course?
I'm choosing Foo Fighters or Tom Petty probably. We use a Tom Petty song to close our podcast. Yeah, we use a Petty song to close our podcast. Mitch is now infamous for, we recorded the day Tom Petty died, and Mitch got very emotional on the podcast, and we just left it in there, for people at the end as the song was going. I will say this though, when I traveled with Brian Orr was a musician, a musician at one time as well in his life, and we listened to a little bit more heavy stuff. We had a great trip where we flew into Omaha, and I think we were driving to Awari Dunes, and we listened to nothing but System of a Down with the windows down at midnight while we were driving across Nebraska. So I mean, I'll listen to almost anything. I'm not a huge rap fan, but other than that, I like classic rock. I like a lot of modern stuff. I played trumpet when I was younger, so I like a lot of jazz music. I'll listen to about anything people want to listen to. I have no problem. I played a lot of golf. We talk about people in your fantasy foursomes or whatever. I've played a lot of golf over the years with Shane Bacon on various trips, and he is notorious for playing music while we play golf. And so I've listened to a lot of classic rock and all kinds of other stuff that he tends to spin up the 80s music, which is right in my wheelhouse. If I had a favorite band, it's probably Men at Work. I'm going to see them again actually pretty soon. So yeah, there you go. There's my musical taste. And
that's awesome. You had me at Foo Fighters. Let's go.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen Foo Fighters in concert. Vic and I went and saw them in Reno when they came, and been a huge fan for a long time too. So
that's awesome.
All right, this might be a hard question. Besides Mike Strantz and David McClay Kidd, who is your favorite course designer?
Well, I mean, it's a hard question in that I have friends who are designers.
Right.
Obviously, I mentioned Rob and what they did at Sweetens and now at Landman. I mentioned Dan Hickson, who built Bar Run where I work, but also built a fantastic design at Wine Valley. He built a course outside that's south of the resort at Bandon, called Bandon Crossings. That's family owned. That's a super lot of fun. He built a quasi-reversible Sylvie's Valley Ranch out in Eastern Oregon. So I just love his work, and because I got to spend so much time with him on the Bar Run project, I really understand it a lot. He's been on our podcast and talked about his design philosophy. So shout out to Dan Hickson today for that question. I've also played a lot of Tom Fazio golf. Rams Hill was a Fazio golf course, and so that kind of stuff too.
Yeah. I haven't found one I don't like yet, so it's hard.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I go to the local golf course that no one visits here in Augusta, and I'm like, yeah, this is fun. This is a good day to be out playing golf.
Yeah, exactly. There are people. I mean, I've seen golf courses that get built by people, that just the owner builds the golf course. There are some golf courses near Gamble Sands we were talking about the other day that are in developments and whatever, and they can be strange, but you're still playing golf, right?
Yeah. If you ever get a chance to come to the Augusta area, you have to go to the Chalk Mine. It's literally 3 guys that got a bulldozer together and built a par 3 course with the first tee. Yeah. And it's incredible. It's one of the best experiences I've ever had on a golf course. And
I'm on my way.
And it's literally and you don't have to walk far. That's probably my favorite part about it. You can be lazy golf because nothing's more than 60, 70 yards away. So, but there's an example, like you said, of, if you're out playing golf, it's hard to have a bad day.
Yep. No, that's awesome.
Yep.
I love those stories.
Yeah.
I went to the guys. I don't know. There was a thing for a while back. There was a big thing about some guy's backyard. They had started a thing, and I want to say it's in Kansas, maybe.
I follow a lot of backyard guys.
But I showed up. I basically reached out to those guys when I was on my way driving through the state and went and checked their little thing out that they basically just built a golf course around their house.
That's awesome.
And it's just so cool. I admire any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Now I know what I'm doing in the fall.
Any ways to play the game. Course. Yeah, Jonathan's got property, so he's gonna build his own little golf course. So, well, Darin, this has been a ton of fun, man. Followed and
absolutely
all the things you're doing on the social media for Tobacco Road, now Gamble, and the others. It's been fun to hear some of your story, and like we like we tell with most guests, and I guess like you guys have done, like, you know, we really like the people that we have on the podcast, and we want to get together at some point and hang out, play some golf. We'll listen to some Foo Fighters, and yeah, we'll just tell some more golf stories. It'll be a lot of fun.
I love it. We'll find a way. I'll find my way out to you guys if you don't find your way out here.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like we need to head your direction too. So, yeah.
I make the offer. If you end up coming for the Masters, I got a little tiny house you can stay in. Jeff Marsh stayed last year, so you got free lodging if you come to the Masters.
Oh, I love that idea. I'm a big tiny house guy too. We can have a whole nother podcast about that.
Ooh, I like it. I like it.
All right.
Well, cool. Well, for Darin and Jonathan, this is Robbie. You've been listening to another episode of the Whole Story Podcast.